Good afternoon. How are you? Well, there are a couple of cows loose near somewhere, so I've been warned by passersby, and the it's beautiful out, but it's as moist as could be. The Thomas Jefferson reports that the humidity is 91%, and it has rained, and it will rain again, perhaps not for another hour if I got my calculation right. Current temperature is 67 degrees, and the winds are not noticeable at 4 miles an hour. Day by day, there are things that beat upon our minds of what is fair and just as compared to what is. And we have special blocks that we resist certain news because we prefer either a person, a cause, or an event. At the top of my list today, even though there are competitors for the position, is what Israel is doing with Iran. Now, I don't have a dog in the fight in the sense of feeling strongly one way or the other. And to the extent that I was a stronger proponent of Israel, I have to say that Netanyahu has cooled my ardor quite a bit. But he's done worse than that. He's committed crimes, I believe, international law crimes. And he's basically committing the war crime of invading another nation state on a pretext. And he's bombing the living daylights out of that country, claiming that he's there because he's concerned out of self-defense for the threat the uranium enrichment program in Iran may have on Israel. And by now we've had enough experts who have told us that there really isn't much of a threat, because it's not ready to be converted into a bomb. There's no indication they intend to make it a bomb, except for the fact that Israel is now invading them. If they had one, what would they do with it? Because it's the unthinkable to actually set off one of these creatures, you know. Mutually MAD was the program for many years. Mutually agreed deterrence. What is it? So what we have now is, on the fourth day, I believe, of Israel attacking Iran, and Iran sending hellfire into Israel, which can't be popular among the people who've been at war a long time and are probably questioning how dangerous was the threat to us. If you could spend months and months sneaking drones into Iran so that you could invoke them for the first day's war, and presumably since then. So what we're looking at now is not so much, it seems to me, is what the fact is on the ground. Because on the ground, the enrichment of uranium is at its greatest threat very far underground, and only one of our super bombs, that is, United States super bombs, could do it. And all the experts say that we're there, or going to be there, when Israel needs that bomb. But even that will probably only, if it succeeds, delay the enrichment. So more and more, the attack based on concerns about a nuclear weapon are a pretense for regime change, to take over the government. And what are we doing being involved in that? And what are we doing when our nation is supplying the materials for this? What day will it happen? Name your city. New York, San Francisco, Chicago, or maybe some small town. Maybe that would heighten the concerns and the fears of people. When a terrorist attack occurs that is linked to what's going on there, because we are allied with Israel that's there on a pretense making war. So a couple of deers just ran in front of me, so that's why I was distracted, pardon me. So the deeply hidden, enriched uranium is not real, in the sense that it's a legitimate reason for war. And we've seen all these wars over history in which the invading side has a pretense or explanation, often untrue, why they had to fight and defend themselves. And it's almost always about self-defense. So the most they can do is to delay the enrichment. So increasingly more observers with access to much more information than I or you have are concerned about regime change, because the United States assistance is critical to any success for Israel. So, in the meantime, Netanyahu is bringing hellfire on Iran, supposedly in defense of Israel's concern about enriched uranium. In fact, during the attack by Israel into Iran today, the TV state broadcast was cut off while it was being ongoing. So this is one side of the world where crazy things are happening. Now closer to home, we have our own extensive crazy. By now, I suppose everybody has followed the assassination attempts at two families, each with a person active in Democratic politics in Minnesota. And one couple is dead, and it appears the other couple is going to survive. What's the reaction to Republicans? You may know Senator Mike Lee of Utah. He said that this is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. Do you believe that? This is what he says. But he's not alone. We have the crazed, deluded maggots on the street and in Congress who claim this was a Dem who made this attack when it was a conservative Republican. And a conservative Republican who is very active, and you can find crazed demonstrations of his partisanship online if you look for it. But just knowing he exists is enough. So Republicans are saying the Democrats, they're responsible in some way for this attack on these two families. Now, I believe if there's a cause and effect, it is the ongoing, unrelenting attacks, suggesting physical attacks, suggesting it's okay and legitimately power against those liberals, those on the left. It's amazing. This is what our nation has come to. But this is what happens. Like I said, you level all the laws, the order, the respect, and you get this. There are people out there saying we should be friends to the Republicans. No, the Republicans are the enemy. How can anybody miss this? They're the ones who want to take away your freedom. They're the ones who want to encapsulate you in barely sustainable jobs while they give your money from your taxes to the wealthiest who need nothing in terms of those kinds of creature comforts. How do we lose our way? Could a nation have so many stupid, self-aggrandizing, hating people that this is the rule of the land? Now, I take solace when I read 76% were against that military demonstration, that vanity demonstration. I take great pleasure in the fact that so many came out and peacefully demonstrated to say, we don't want kings, we don't want this order. In the past, that would shift our representatives in Congress, but they're not even playing. Republicans and Democrats, with rare exception, are not out there fighting for us. So we're fighting for ourselves. But the message, we continually make the message, and we contradict the lies they tell so that we can preserve and protect the nation we have, enjoy the freedoms we're promised in our founding documents, and that we continue to have the vote and access to government to see that what is right is done. There are people who are hurt by the slander, by the evil, by the suggestion that they're worthless and therefore could be treated as so much garbage. But when you're doing that to a U.S. senator, you're doing it to a congressperson, you're doing it to a judge, what kind of person are you then? Despicable, certainly. An enemy of the people, certainly. A person, if you believe in an afterlife, should burn in hell for all eternity, but I'm only concerned about what happens right now, where we are and where we live, and that we get it right now, because that's what you and I are going to be living. So, keep in mind, a couple of bucks for a Google group to go into court, appear at a demonstration, talk to a friend. Don't waste your time with Republicans. Don't vote for a single one of them, ever, until they get their shit together and become patriots again, as the party once was, even in its disagreeable states. So that's what I got to say. And it's for electoral politics. When a local politician is running for office and he's a Democrat, tell him or her, I want to hear you on these issues. I'm not voting for you unless you are resisting the destruction of America. Unless you're preserving and protecting what we have here. Because these other issues get subsumed by the nature of the government that's extant. And presently, that government is in chaos. But that is a stage of their development toward a monarchy. So that's what I got to say. And it is beautiful, the green, the reach of the trees up above. Look at that. There's no reason why our nation can't be like this. I don't mean greenery, but I mean full of positive, joyful people working with life's gifts and challenges and unconcerned. There are lurking evil people playing the wheels and springs of our politics to our prejudice. Unrelenting attacks on our freedom. So, until tomorrow, when it probably will be raining again, I say goodbye from our Cathedral of Trees. All the best. Bye-bye.